actually, I mean, from the get-go, the way we set up Seed Camp was, again, VCs and angels are a huge part of the network. We wanted to get, people like you in the room, but we also believe product experts, design experts, tech experts, marketing are actually what's going to help give you a lot of advice in the early days and about how do you design and how do people use your product and customer insights, and that's what really builds your business, right? So we bring a lot of those people to the table as well, and a lot of deep relationships with Google, eBay, Yahoo, Microsoft, so on and so forth. So again, let's not put all the focus on money, but actually, 16 of our kind of 19 live companies have raised follow-on funding, which is an amazing stat, right? And when I say backing that entrepreneur with that idea, and you realize over and over again, it's the people, it's the founders. So, I know I'm making a mistake, but I still do it, right? So, but I've learned a lot about people.
So talk to her afterwards, It would be nice to her.
Markus, you have experience in Europe and in the United States. What is, in your view, the major difference, and where Europe could learn from the United States, or is it a different kind of way?
I would say there are a couple of different stages or elements which are necessary for a successful entrepreneurial ecosystem, and it starts with attitude and emotional aspects we've touched. Is failing seen as a drama, or is it like the first step into the next round? This is one of the aspects. Another one on the emotional side, I believe, is that we Europeans, and interesting wise, like most people here on stage, do have international background, either are international or moved outside the home country, and basically being able to define the playground like bigger than what you're used to see in the past. Yeah? We've touched it before in another discussion. Like you're born as someone from Vienna in my case, and sometime you realize that you're actually Austrian. Still you are used to Schilling, and you know that like 45 minutes car drive east, the East Block starts, and you never went there. So basically getting more and more open to actually jump into the plane and fly to Germany or to Brussels or to New York and pitch a media company for this, as a customer with maybe the same effort than it would need to go to, not in your case Styria or Graz, yeah? But you might deal with like bigger partners putting in the same effort. I think that's also kind of a European thing where I would strongly recommend like be more self-confident, because it's not a matter of skill set, it's not a matter of creativity, it's a matter of basically self-confidence, and it's a matter of are you outgoing and did your history prove that you can success if you're outgoing. So that's another emotional part I see, and I think that's a difference between Europe and the US too. The third one maybe on the emotional side is that also like entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial spirit needs space and needs room, like, and a stage in some ways. Everybody knows like Steve Ballmer and Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, because they also are on stage. Everybody, if you switch on CNN or CNBC, you basically most probably like jump into an entrepreneurial hour where like entrepreneurs or like already like proven billionaires like are talking about their experience. Or you like switching on the TV in the US, and they're kind of, when I moved I was really surprised but like amused at the same time. They do have kind of Starmanias or American Idols for entrepreneurial kids. So the whole like image and flair it starts with like mobilizing people and like raising the dream of becoming an entrepreneur is definitely kind of missing here, and therefore I'm very thankful to initiatives such or like STARTeurope, basically providing space and room for people to meet and motivate. And just like in all the breaks we're going to have and like discussions and side discussions, everybody like will go home a little bit with some excitement, or oh, he was able to do it. I don't think he's smart, therefore I'm also supposed to have like at least that success. And kind of that like kind of snowball effect of motivation and kind of success breeds success. Seeing Daniel, and he dared to move to the States and knock on Sequoia's door, and there's a business plan, and didn't leave the room when they like launched it. So seeing that experience actually, I believe, motivates and strengthens all the entrepreneurial spirit. Besides many of the economic factors, and we might touch the funding issue and like tax issue and other stuff, where definitely people here in Alpbach also could do a lot for that startup scene.
Floor is yours. Do you have questions to our panelists?
Hi, Mark Wagner. It's more of a comment or a question. When we say Europe, what does Europe mean? Because for me, you mentioned many different cultures and languages. But for me, the Dutch are very entrepreneurial, as an example. And Austrians would be a little more conservative. But then, but when you go to Austria, I mean, Vienna would be more open and liberal, and Tirolers would be more conservative. So even within a culture, you have different. And even within a city, in Vienna, you have areas which are more entrepreneurial and more conservative.
But I think, for me personally, with this idea of where Europe is going, and I'm really looking at these global developments that are happening, not just on this small level, but on a larger scale, and where we are going, and what kind of spirit we can deliver. I see that is the biggest advantage we have in Europe, is this diversity we have. And I think that this is really important. And if we could learn more from each other and be able to share these experiences, we could be much further in that sense. And this is really, to me, it's like diversity is the basis of creativity, creativity is the basis of innovation, and innovation is the future.
But I'm looking, I think Europe has a good entrepreneurial culture. It's more sustainable because it's more conservative. So the risk factors are there, but people are more cautious. So maybe what we need is more hybrids. We need to actually have American, North American cultures mixing with European cultures, and then you have something even greater. But it's not just about European startup culture or American startup culture, we bring them together. So
yeah, I mean, that's what, one of the things we really push for is like break those boundaries, right? Just because, I mean, we encourage our startups, we have a Slovenian company, right? They have still a big part of their team back in Slovenia, but their chairman spends time between London and Slovenia. Their CEO is in New York because publishers are a huge market for them. And their CTO spends time between California and Slovenia. So, and they've got this dev guy who's in California full time, who's American. So it's a constant mingling of cultures and peoples and breaking down borders. And I recommend, every budding entrepreneur, again, if you want to build something real and big, get on a plane, spend a week out there, right? You don't need to like move out, but even a week will change your life, like being out in New York or California.
One comment to that is, for example, it's also the technology development that we see today. It really helps that you can do a lot of international work without even traveling. I mean, I'm an advisory board of a Brazilian company, I've never been there, which is just per email, and that is something with Skype that helps you out. Or, I mean, we're just a very small company, but we have 130 partners worldwide, internationally, with whom we can work. So that's something also that is very, because these guys are, being so smart and developing so many cool things, we can work worldwide. So.